And welcome back to the Hot Lap. I hope you had an amazing Christmas, an amazing Boxing Day, and looking forward to a brand new year. It's Friday, the 27th of December. I've been off eating far too much, and as was last year, kind of like a yearly tradition, every time on Christmas Day, when I was a wee lad, I used to get the Autosport Christmas edition, the Christmas double issue. Let's be fair, the best issue of the year. Without a doubt, which has the top 50 drivers of the year. So we're going to go through each one, tell them what we think, tell kind of what we think, particularly the ones that are in Rally, BTCC, and Formula One, and maybe the odd bit of IndyCar. But we'll most certainly get an opinion, get Autosport's opinion, because I think, as I said, it is my favourite edition of the year. So stay tuned. There are going to be some surprises, slight controversial opinions, as usual, I'd imagine. Let's get to it. So here we go, as you can see. So number 50 is Antonio Felix da Costa. He was 6th in the Formula E World Championship. And basically Autosport said across Formula E races in the second half of 2024, he took 4 wins spanning Berlin, Shanghai and Portland, where he doubled up. So he didn't do too bad at all. But I want to focus on number 49. And that is F1's very own, or F1's own Esteban Ocon. So Autosport says, and I'm reading it here, and they're saying, on the face of it, Esteban Ocon's second place finish in the Brazilian Grand Prix might be doing a lot of heavy lifting here, but I don't think so. I think from the beginning of the year, he appeared to have the measure of Pierre Gasly. Pierre Gasly, the same man who, as we all know, is the one staying at Alpine. I nearly said Renault then. He's the one staying at Alpine, which kind of means... as we know, like Ocon, that issue that happened at Monaco, for example, that was the final nail in the coffin, maybe. So at 48, we have Isaac Hadjar, finished at the top, near the top in Formula 2. He was the runner-up, the bridesmaid, so to speak, after a season in which he took more victories than any other driver. So that is quite significant. And Isaac Hadjar, this is the man that essentially has replaced Daniel Ricciardo, kind of. Not really Sergio Perez, but Liam Lawson, because Liam Lawson is going to the Red Bull team. So, number 48, Isaac Hadjar. Number 47, BTCC's very own Tom Ingram. The runner-up, it was all looking good back at the beginning of the year, wasn't it, for Tom? He radiated confidence, but to be fair, that's what Autosport said. But I want to say he still radiated that confidence, even going into the final weekend at the final race. It was still all to win or lose, and at the end of the day, he lost. And yeah, I'm always a bit like with the BTCC. None of them hardly ever get above 40, because I think Jake Hill is not that far away from Tom Ingram, even though it was a stellar series. But I mean, let's be fair, the top 50 is enriched with amazing drivers. So Tom Ingram at number 47. And here we have number 46, Formula One's own Yuki Tsunoda. So despite continuing to be overlooked by Red Bull's lead Formula One team, Yuki Tsunoda showed great maturity in 2024. Yes, he did. Ergo, he beat both of his teammates handsomely, I want to say. Yes. I mean, it was maybe arguably close, as some people suggested, with Liam Lawson, but he still beat Liam Lawson. Ergo, Liam Lawson is still very much a rookie. So a lot of people are still wondering why hasn't Yuki Tsunoda got that Red Bull drive? And I think they're allowed to wonder that, most certainly, because based on the evidence, you can make an argument for both Liam Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda. Number 5 is Lauren Heinrich, number 45, and he came first in the IMSA Sports Car Championship in the GTD Pro, winning a closely fought class. He did. So onwards to 44, and I mentioned he's in the 40s, is Jake Hill. Yep, the winner, his first ever BTCC championship. I mean, brilliant. And didn't he do it in style? I was absolutely very, very happy for Jekyll. And in it, it's got Jekyll as probably the first grandson of a chart-topping 1950s crooner to make Autosport's own hit parade. And that's appropriate because the diminutive Kentishman had no other love Other than that, the BTCC. Racing with BMW, he had Colin Turkington to contend with before even thinking about your Ash Suttons and your Tom Ingrams. So didn't the boy do well? 43 is IndyCar's own Pato O'Ward. He was at the centre of drama both on and off the track this year. His popularity was called into question by Penske Entertainment Mike Miles, and the Mexican bounced back what was, let's be fair, it wasn't a very good 2023 season, was it? A winless 2023 season, and came back in style, did O'Ward. So, number 40, wow, we are now, Tanak, sorry. I've completely missed Oliver Rowland, my apologies, is at number 42. He was fourth in the Formula E World Championship, and he became a genuine title challenger. And everyone is saying this was the Formula E's dark horse, but I particularly want to talk about the next guy, number 41, Tanak. How the season could have been different. So Autosport says there are no issues with Tanak's speed on his return to Hyundai's World Rally Championship squad after a season at M Sport, but consistency was lacking. And yes, it was definitely not speed, certainly not speed, but consistency was lacking with Tanak. The Estonian wasn't always comfortable behind the wheel. Of a much improved i20N Rally 1 relative to the 22 spec car. But he did take time to tame it, and he did get 2 wins, helped the driver's title fight down to the wire in Japan, but his season was littered with crashes and misfortune. And you kind of have to wonder at this point, with Tanak, what if? Yeah, what if, I think is the 2 words there. Next up, we've got Tadasuko Makino, he was 3rd in Super Formula, also 2nd in Super GT, which is no mean feat. He broke down in tears upon scoring his first victory at Autopolis, and it must have ranked as one of the season's most memorable, Formula E seasons. So fantastic, well done to him. But now let's talk about a certain Williams driver who is number 39. That's the number I have in all my Formula 1 games, funnily enough. The year my dad was born, 1939, Alexander Albon. So Messi, there, Sir Autosport has described it, and I think it's true. If any of you, the few of you that did see the Christmas walk episode we did on the 23rd, we were talking about how it was very much a messy year for Alexander Albon, where when Franco Colapinto came and the pressure was on, I'm not saying he cracked, he bent a bit though. Let's say he bent a bit, did Alexander Albon. So number 38 is Kelvin van der Linde. In his final racing year in Audi, he was 2nd in DTM, which once again is no mean feat. But what I would say is they're Autosport putting DTM above, I think, the touring car drivers, which I don't personally agree. That's just my opinion. But 37, Fernando Alonso. Yeah, he was last year. He was he finished 9th in the 9th in the Formula 1 World Championship. He's 32 down from where he was last year. And it says Aston Martin regressed over 2024 as upgrades did little to improve its competitiveness in Formula 1. But the evergreen Alonso still squeezed every drop from his car, and yes, he did, until he got his contract, and then he kind of gave up for a bit, didn't he? Seemingly where Lance Stroll was a lot closer to him than really Lance Stroll should be close to him. And we had the classic Alonso who started, the interesting sentences and the political pit radio started coming out, didn't it, with Fernando Alonso about the car, which I don't think is very helpful, but he's not the only driver to do it, to be fair. So number 36, Mauro Engel. He was 1st in the GT World Championship Series and 1st in the GT World Cup. 7 podiums, 3rd overall, and it was a really, really strong campaign for him. Matt Campbell, though, is at number 35, and he was 5th in the World Endurance Championship. He's 1st in the Daytona 24 hours and 1st in the Bathurst 12 hours. So this guy is good. Should we have been surprised, Autosport says, that he emerged as the best driver in the Porsche? Probably not, I imagine. Number 34 then is Ryan Blaney, and he was 2nd in the NASCAR Cup. He was agonisingly close to becoming the first driver to win back-to-back titles in the NASCAR knockout format, they said. But there was still plenty to be proud of in 2024. It was a year that mirrored his championship season in many ways, including how the final 2 races went. So well done to him. But 33, Mirko Bortoleto. And he was 1st in DTM. And after finding runner-up status in 2023, he went one better by delivering what was his maiden DTM crown with a consistent campaign. And when we say consistent, there was only one win, but it's that consistency is key. And talking about Bortolitos, Gabriele Bortoletos at number 32. This is the guy that won the Formula 2 championship. He continued to emulate Charles Leclerc, George Russell, and Oscar Piastri in 2024, following up his rookie Formula 3 title with becoming the Formula 2 champion on his first attempt. So we are thinking good stuff from him, aren't we? Very, very much so. Seb Ogier, fourth in the World Rally Championship. So not as good as, he finished lower than Otanek, but Autosport has him higher than Otanek. Why is that? Well, such was his speed. He was part-time. He was persuaded by Toyota because at one point he looked like he was the only championship contender to Terry Neuville, which was Otanek's teammate. Go in the end, he wasn't, was he? It kind of like the minute he became full-time, it kind of like died a death. That's when his performances became a bit, not really, not classic Ogier. The minute he signed, the minute he sort of became full-time, we all thought, wow, another championship, and it didn't happen. And Terry Neuville ended up holding steady, didn't he? So that's Seb Ogier. I don't know how to pronounce this next guy. Dries van Thor, who was 14th in the World Endurance Championship, second in the World GT Challenge Europe. And they've got here, the world already knew the talents of this guy aboard a GT3 car. He's been one of the most consistent performers in the category for 2 different manufacturers. So that's quite impressive. But let's talk about number 29 then, shall we? Mikkel Jensen. He was 12th in the World Endurance Championship. And Autosport is saying there was proof positive once again over the course of 2024 that Mikkel Jensen is an absolute top-line sports car driver. Number 28 is Sebastian Buemi, and he's fourth. He's fourth in the World Endurance Championship and 11th in Formula E. Latest appearance in this list just isn't down to his heroics, I'm saying, in the last knockings of a WEC campaign that secured Toyota the manufacturer's crown. The chance of a repeat for the driver's title and his teammates disappeared early in the season, but then performed at least as well as he has done in those 2 years. But significantly next is number 27. Disappointing for some is Lewis Hamilton. I'm going to read the whole thing here because it's interesting. So yes, they're saying back to winning ways in 2024. We had that win in Silverstone, 946 winless days for Lewis. Hamilton's emotional Silverstone victory was the highlight of his season, I think, yes. But he was excellent. He was excellent qualifying and on the orthodox 2-stop strategy in Spa 2. Hamilton's in-race tyre management remains top class as his pace, while rising in Las Vegas and Abu Dhabi, showed he still has the speed in the race. But plus he held off Max Verstappen on more fragile tyres late with that Silverstone win. Yeah, that was easily one of the best wins of the year. But his overall qualifying against George Russell and braking confidence struggles, plus errors at Austin, meant he goes to Ferrari with peak performance questions to answer. That's quite interesting, isn't it? Number 26 then is Felipe Nasr. He was first in the Sports Car Championship and first in the Daytona 24 Hours. And it said he perhaps didn't exhibit his raw speed too often. But Felipe's partnership with Porsche, Penske Motorsports, and Dane Cameron led to a well-earned third title. 25. Will Power. So the year represented a proper return to form for Will Power. The 43-year-old Aussie was back to similar pace as he was in 2022. I mean, where was he in 2023, to be honest? When he captured his second IndyCar title. The comparison came early and often, and he proved a problem for the paddock with 3 runner-up finishes in the opening 4 runs. I mean, he was the man in form, wasn't he, as it began? So 24 is Renger van der Zande. First in the Petit Le Mans, third in the Sports Car Championship. 15 years have passed since the Dutchman was a thorn in the side of Nico Hulkenberg and Ricciardo in Formula 3. Yet, this man still performs at a high level. Yeah, absolutely he does. And, we're talking about Nico Hulkenberg. He's number 23. He led the line admirably for Haas as the American team stepped up for its performance. He was arguably one of the MVPs, I think, in Formula 1 through most of the season. Yes, Kevin Magnussen did, to be fair, make it quite interesting towards the end of the year. But Nico Hulkenberg, I think, absolutely fantastic. Number 22, Will Brown. Now, Will Brown was first in the Australia Supercars Championship. It entered its final rounds. Will Brown carried the air of a driver whose tenure with the AAA team could be measured in years, not months, as was the reality. So well done to Will Brown. Then we have Ocon's teammate at number 21, Pierre Gasly. Alpine struggles with overweight and undercooked cars at the start of 2024 hurt Pierre Gasly, but as it started to improve, it shone. So the argument being is, I think when Alpine was at its least, I think Esteban Ocon, from what I remember of the season, he had, I'm not saying the measure, but he was a bit up on Gasly. And then as the car got better, I think Gasly got more performance out of it. So number 20, Calais Rovanpera. It's interesting that they put Calais above Seb Ogier, because I would not have done. But they've got number 20 as Calais Rovanpera only contested 7 rallies, exchanging his title defence for a partial campaign to recharge his batteries and expand his horizons. He won more events than anyone. Yes, he did, surpassing the tally achieved in 2023 title run, and could have easily racked up 7 wins without crashes in Sweden and Portugal. But he did crash, and that's the thing. He was going to win. He didn't. He crashed. The unfortunate thing that happened in his home race in Finland, nothing you can do about that. But I don't know. 20 is good, but I think putting him higher than Seb Ogier, what do you know? Comment below, let me know. But I don't quite agree with that. Next up, we have got Colton Herta at number 19. He enjoyed a renaissance campaign in 24 after 2 consecutive years mired in 10th. Andretti Global's 24-year-old leading man won twice, ending a 41-race drought that dated back to 2022. And now there's talk about him going to this new American team, which will be interesting. So number 18, Nick Cassidy, 3rd in the Formula E Championship. Less than a lap and a half separated Cassidy from a maiden and deserved Formula E title, but he instead ended up 3rd after snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. But, poor Nick Cassidy there. And also Mitch Evans, 2nd in the Formula E Championship. For the 4th consecutive season, Mitch Evans entered Formula E's round with a realistic title shot, but came up short, sadly. So 16 and 15, we've got Kyle Larson, not IndyCar, 6th in the NASCAR Cup. He had one of the strongest seasons in the NASCAR Cup for winning a series leading 6 races. He nearly won the regular season title despite missing a race while making his Indy 500 debut, and secured a NASCAR Crown Jewel at Indy later in the year, and then winning the Brickyard 400. So very good there. Joey Logano is first in the NASCAR Cup, 15th overall. He's now a 3-time champion, becoming just the 10th driver to ever win that many titles. And they say his season was an odd one, though, Autosport says. What it's saying is his season was an odd one, but something we've come to expect from the Penske Ford man. He was very quiet in the regular season, winning just once to make the playoffs, but then when the time came, he did exactly what he needed to in order to win. So we're down to the top 15 now. So number 14, Lawrence Van Thor. He was 1st in the World Endurance Championship. Well done to him. A regular in the Autosport top 50 down the years, but the elder Van Thor sibling reasserted himself to claim one of the world's top sports car drivers. Absolutely he did. But number 13, unlucky for some, is Australian's own Oscar Piastri, where he did really come of age, but I still can't help being a tiny bit disappointed. I thought he'd be a lot closer to Lando than he really was. But he still had an amazing year, winning that first victory. And they said that Piastri enjoyed a great second F1 season and made a valuable contribution to the end of McLaren's long wait for the Constructors' title, with a slight race pace disadvantage to Lando Norris. I think that was the big story for him, wasn't it, really? Number 12, Nicholas Nielsen. He was 2nd in the World Endurance Champion, but 1st in Le Mans in the 24 hours in the hypercar category. So he proved how good he is in the final stages of Le Mans 24 hours, as Ferrari made it 2 out of 2 for the big one. So well done there. 11th, though, is it George Russell, quite ahead of Lewis Hamilton, which you'd expect. I completely understand. And it was qualifying where George Russell was strongest, and particularly compared to Lewis Hamilton. Autosport agrees with that comment. And that's what made him, I think, so successful in 2024. And he seemed to have more confidence in the car than Lewis. And he ended up with a small but significant advantage over a driver with 104 poles. And their head-to-head split ended up being 24-6, I think, with sprint races, with only Max Verstappen and Bottas having better. From strong starting positions, Russell was often the best of the rest behind the McLaren Red Bull Ferrari battle and picked up the pieces to win in Austria, and his other victory in Las Vegas showed how dominant he could be, given the right car. Top 10 time. And number 10, we have I think he should be higher, but let's see the drivers that beat him. Terry Neuville, the World Rally Championship. After 17 years of hard graft, he can finally call himself a World Rally Championship. Congratulations, Mr. Neuville. 5 times a runner-up, 5 times a bridesmaid. The Hyundai driver enjoyed a standout season by leading the points from start to finish, but a feat a feat most recently achieved by OJ all the way back in 2016. That does seem a long time ago now, doesn't it? Neuville scored 2 impressive victories, the first in Monaco and the season's only maximum points haul, while the second came at the Acropolis Rally, despite opening the roads. And he became quite the season opening the roads, didn't he? Number 9 then. Sho Subo, and he was first in Super Formula, first in Super GT. That one I kind of, yeah, okay, fair enough. For years, he's been regarded as one of Super GT's premier talents, but it was only this year that the Toyota driver achieved his success in Super Formula that his talents warranted a switch. And he's not done too bad. So, moving on, we have Kevin Estre. First in the WEC Hypercar, second at the Nürburgring 24 Hours, and second in the Petit Le Mans. Maybe not the ace in the pack for the Porsche Penske WEC squad, but they're saying he came of age in 2024 when he had the car under him to do the business, and also perhaps when he didn't. And that's quite important, isn't it? Champions, they all say champions become, you win a championship on the days that, kind of like the days on your most difficult days. We kind of saw that with Max Verstappen this year. Pascal Wehrlein, yeah, a former Formula 1 driver, is at number 7. First in the WE World Endurance Championship. He merited a world title by making no season-defining errors. He only non-scored twice due to collisions that weren't his fault. Vastly improving his qualifying was key. 3 poles meant 9 bonus points, 3 more than his title winning. I mean, that's not too bad at all, is it? So, I mean, well done. But Pascal, he's got to be really happy. Kind of kicked out of Formula 1. And he was, you know, I think a Mercedes prodigy, wasn't he, at one point? Number 6, Carlos Sainz. A class year for Carlos Sainz. It was difficult circumstances in knowing that his Ferrari seat was going to Lewis Hamilton. And second, and the Spaniard bounced back from an illness with his appendicitis to claim victory in Melbourne, which was absolutely amazing. And he had other victories, obviously, didn't he? Another victory. But yeah, I think that's very fair where you put him 6. Scott McLaughlin, though, is number 5. So he's third. He was third in the IndyCar series. Had it not been for Team Penske's push to pass scandal that rocketed the IndyCar series and negated third place finish at St. Petersburg opener, he could well have been crowned champion. Yeah. And talking about champions, we've got Alex Palau in 4th. And he didn't produce the same level of dominance as last year, but the end result was the same. Alex Palau hoisted a trophy for the 3rd time in 2024. Well done, Alex. What is he going to do next year? It's going to be quite interesting with IndyCar. But arguably more interesting if you're a Formula 1 fan. Lando Norris, he's not number 2, he's number 3. And they've got here, undoubtedly, his best Formula 1 season to date, and the stats proving so. In 2024, Lando Norris finished as championship runner-up. His previous best was 6th in 2021 and 2023. He took 4 wins, breaking his GP Grand Prix victory duck, along with a sprint win too. That was really helped by Oscar, though, let's be honest. And took his F1 career pole tally to near double figures, where he'd just had 1 coming in. I think that's interesting they've got a number 3, because number 2 and number 1, I mean, no surprise there. Number 2 is obviously Charles Leclerc. And 2024, a year where the Ferrari made it clear exactly how much Charles Leclerc means to the team, signing him to a new contract and leaving Carlos Sainz exposed when Lewis became available. Then he too showed how much the prancing horse means to him. He won, for example, in Monaco. He won at Monza. And we all thought after Monaco that was it really for him, because then they had an absolute disastrous middle season. And when you think that with the car they ended up with, which was a Red Bull beater consistently, could he have won the title had they not had that big dub? I don't know. Number 2 and number 3. I think I would have. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. You could have swapped them around and it would have been okay. But I think no doubt Max Verstappen being number 1 is. I mean, this season, Max Verstappen showed how brilliant he is, but he also showed that he is, unlike all human beings, he is flawed. He made mistakes. He made silly decisions. He did race a bit dirty, and that wasn't the good bit. That was the bad bit. But let's think about the good bits, though. On the days where he probably shouldn't have won. Imola, he didn't have the fastest car. Spain, he didn't have the fastest car, I don't think. And he still won. Brazil was an amazing victory, helped a bit by the safety car. But I do think when you saw in the sprint, he had a very good car package. He was definitely the best car driver package on the day in Brazil. Not that it takes away from what was an absolutely amazing win. But yeah, Max Verstappen, number 1. And I kind of agree in the Autosport top 50 there. Leclerc, I can understand why he's number 2 and Norris is number 3. I think Norris did make more mistakes, I think, than Charles Leclerc. But then it's going to be a really interesting 2025, isn't it? But there we go. Max Verstappen, number 1 in the Autosport. Top 50, completely deserved. If you made it to the end, please give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up, comment below, let us know if you disagree with any of the numbers. I can't help but feel that Seb OJ should have been higher, and some of the touring car, particularly Jake Hill, I think could have been a bit higher when you saw who was above him. But there we go. I'm not a professional journalist. You just come out, I guess, for my opinions in a bit of the news. Thank you very much for everyone that's subscribed. We're well over 2,000 now. We've got like 2,100 and something, I think, and it means so much. I mean, we started this channel September properly, the channel properly, September last year. We really got into it, and it does mean so much. Every like, every comment, I do read every comment. Sometimes I don't have enough time to reply to them. I always do, even sometimes if it's a week, but honestly, it does mean a lot. Hitting that subscribe button means a lot. It means you've saw something you obviously liked and hit that subscribe because you don't want to miss you want to maybe see another video, and especially if you hit that notification button, it does mean a lot. It does make it all worth it. I don't get paid much. I don't get paid much at all for this. What I think this month I'm getting about 50 quid. Not bad. It's 50 quid I wouldn't normally have. But there we go. And that's just through the ad revenue, but it's not really about the money at this point because I've got another job. I just really enjoy doing it. And every like, every comment, every subscribe, even sometimes the bad comments, hey, you cared enough to comment. Thank you so much. It does mean a lot. Have a good new year. We'll be back again, obviously, between now and the new year. But if this is the only video you see before the new year, just want to say an awesome happy new year. Let's hope 2025 is even better. I mean, 2024 is going to take some beating if you're an F1, if you're a Formula 1 aficionado. Also, if you're a rally aficionado, BTCC, it's going to take some beating because all of it went down to the last round. A rally went down to the last stage. We'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much and stay safe. I'm going to hit that outro button.